Okay, our best friend is alive. We're going against him. We're defending the prosecutor. Let's go. Anyway, how's it going? So, yeah. Ow. Alrighty then. There's that old familiar feeling again. The crushing pressure of this historic courthouse. Actually, no, it's a little different today. There's an even more menacing tension in the air. There's a menacing tension in the air here today, isn't there? I suppose. Yes, I think so. Yeah, it can only be the result of the menacing appearance of the defendant. A little more courtesy, if you please. Oh my, I do apologize. However, you're certainly not mistaken that this tryout is far from ordinary. What do you mean? I'm not privy to the details. However, I understand that no jury has been selected. What? A trial without a jury? Well, that's just like the trial of the professor 10 years ago. A closed court. Oh boy. Good morning, my dear fellows. Mr. Sholmes! Have you made a note of my hair, Mr. Naruto? In an outright victory for science, you must agree. Speaking of that, I forgot to do something today. Oh well, I'll do that next time. To be perfectly honest, so much happened yesterday that, well, I completely forgot about your little hair problem. Huh, well, what to one man is a little hair problem is to another a day of drinking dubious potion after dubious potion. You have no idea how my stomach ails me this morning! Oh dear, how awful for you. I'm afraid you only have yourself to blame, Mr. Sholmes. And good morning to you, Mr. Reaper. I'm delighted to see you looking so full of vim. And I see London's celebrated great detective is as active as ever. Oh, you exaggerate, my dear fellow. Compared to my paltry engagements with a few trivial cases, the Reaper's overbearing presence is a far greater deterrent to the black roots of crime in our capital. And whilst I may not agree with your methods, there is at least one point that I should... Excuse me, I got a call. Yeah, for some reason I got an automated call about my psychiatrist appointment on Thursday. Okay, well, anyway, there's at least one point on which I would readily commend you. What an honor. And that would be... your eye for a good lawyer, sir. Mr. Sholmes. After all, behind this lawyer there is a very great mind, my own. What are you trying to say? Ow. I wish only to say that you should be prepared for quite a trial, Mr. Reaper. Sorry to barge in. Oh, hey, Gina, Mikotoba. Gina, what's that on her arm? It's a mourning band, I suppose. Oh no. Oh. Gregson. Father, shouldn't you be at the Synoptium? It's been postponed, so I have some free time. I decided to come along with the police inspector to see our country's up-and-coming student in action. I shall be very interested in see the fruits of your studies over the past year. Well, it's an honor to have you here. Let's hope there are some fruits to see. And Gina, Ado. Oh, yes, Gina? Why'd you agree to this, eh? Why'd you take him on? This Reaper bloke, everyone says it was him what killed the boss. I'm sorry, Gina, but I just don't believe that. Well, if it weren't, who was it? I don't know that yet. I don't care who calls him what. The Reaper's just a name. He's just a person at the end of the day. And if it turns out it was him who killed the boss, then God help him. And if he is guilty, then hopefully the prosecution will see that done. Like we'll have the information that needs to prove him. Yes, the culprit deserves every ounce of your loathing. Eh? At least that may be some solace to the deceased. Please, Otto. Whoever did this for the boss. Oh, Gina. I hate feeling it's useless, but there's nothing I could do. You gotta finally done this and make the wretch pay. Counsel for the defense and the defendant. Court will be in session shortly. Make your way to the courtroom at once, please. Alright then, here we go. It's time, Mr. Naruhodo. Lord Van Zykes. Alrighty. One who lost his treasured brother to a massive murderer. One who lost his treasured father in a foreign court of law. And one who lost the man who helped her escape destitution. All that misfortune, all that pain on course to collide headlong in this trial. It's time to shine a light on all these dark events. And whatever truth is revealed, we're going to have a look it straight in the eye. And I would have thought that the jury would have had that Scottish, would have Kaiden involved, but nope, I guess no jury this time. Oh boy, it's so quiet. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We are here to conduct a fair and just trial on the defendant Barak von Zykes. Counsels for the defense and prosecution, are you ready to begin? The defense is ready, my lord. The prosecution is more than ready. Oh, Kazuma-sama, I've been wishing to see you in court again for so long. Feels... But I never pictured it happening like this. I never thought I'd be facing you behind the prosecution's bench. The so-called Reaper of the Barely has been a scourge like no other, undermining Her Majesty's justice system. Today, we must uncover the truth behind this scourge. In other words, this trial is going to be a lot more far-reaching than Inspector Greggs' murder. The truth revealed by these proceedings may have unpredictable repercussions to the judiciary. Accordingly, they are to be conducted as a closed trial with no members of the public present, by Her Majesty's direct orders. How will that work, my lord? The burden of all arbitration and adjudication falls on my shoulders. Therefore, as you will see, the jurors' bench shall remain vacant today. If no members of the public are present, might I ask who is currently occupying the gallery, my lord? They are members of the judiciary, here to witness proceedings and ensure an equitable trial. Members of the judiciary? Oh my, it's a very unusual trial already. There is, of course, another unprecedented aspect to these proceedings on which I must elaborate. The counsels for the prosecution and the defense are both aliens of Great Britain. Yeah, I believe it takes an outsider to see the truth sometimes. And as I stand here in this courtroom now, I'm quite certain. This is the reason why I had to come to Britain. Kazuma. Very well. Let us commence proceedings. Prosecutor Asagi, your opening statement, if you please. Certainly, my lord. The incident took place on 1st November at just after 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The location was a building of flats on Fresno Street on the outskirts of the city. The victim's body was discovered there in an old single-room rental property. Yes, Inspector Tobias Gregson, a name known very well indeed to this court. Not least for his miraculous resolution of one of the country's grimiest cases 10 years ago. The professor case. How sure are you about the time of the incident? Several witnesses on the street outside heard the gunshot and have reported the same thing. Yes, that's what Gina told us. There were a number of witnesses. I have here a plan of the room. The victim was found curled up in one corner. It's believed that he was shot from the front at point-blank range and died instantly. How has the range been determined? There were scorch marks around the entry wound. Such marks are caused by the gunpowder used to fire the bullet. But powder hot enough to leave scorch marks is only ejected a few inches beyond the end of the barrel, so it can only have been point-blank. In other words, it only happens when the target is at point-blank range. I see, yes. Thank you for the detailed explanation, Counsel. I swear, if this is suicide, I'm gonna flip. The murder weapon was found lying beside the victim. And have you managed to ascertain the owner of this firearm? No, my lord. Not conclusively. Bravo, Cosmo-sama, for not trying to use a gun as evidence when its provenance can't be proven. Furthermore, my lord, as I've explained, the revolver was fired at extremely close range. The bullet passed through the victim and struck the wall behind him. And there's a candelabrum mounted on that wall. And the tip of one of the candles was in it was found to have been blown off by the projectile. We noticed that too, didn't we? Yes, that's right. Thank you for the thorough report, Counsel. The setting of the crime is clear to me. You will submit the plan of the crime scene as evidence, please. As you wish, my lord. Okay. Is this Fresno Street room Inspector Gregson's private abode? No, my lord. The room is rented to a Mr. Hugh Boone. But there is precious little furniture inside, and it is generally in a poor state of repair. So what on earth was Gregson even doing there? Presumably he was investigating some case or other. When a policeman was informed of the gunshot from the witnesses and rushed to the scene, he found only the deceased inspector and the accused standing alongside, holding the revolver. The attending officer arrested the accused on the spot. So, the details of the case are clear. In that case, the prosecution would like to call its first witness. The name, please, Counsel. Naturally. The accused himself. Huh? Lord Van Zykes! As a prosecutor, he believes in the oath of office he's taken, and will be compelled to tell the truth. Very well, let the defendant take the witness stand. Okay then. So, witness, state your name and occupation for the court. Barrack Van Zykes, Old Bailey prosecutor. I presume, Lord Van Zykes, that you heard Prosecutor Osugi's opening krisis. I did. And it is alleged that you were found at the scene of the crime, and that you were arrested by the arriving police officer. Can you confirm this? Yes, my lord. Then I'm sure the court would like to hear you explain some things away. Namely, why you were there in the room on Fresno Street at the time in question, and what exactly took place. I intend to explain away nothing. I will simply tell the truth. I must say, Lord Van Zykes, I never imagined this day would come. Or rather, I didn't want it to imagine it would come. But since you became known as the Reaper, a part of me had been dreading it. Your formal testimony then, witness. I was investigating Gregson, and my inquiries had led me to that address. When I first entered the room that day, it was dark inside and I saw no one. A moment later, I heard the gunshot. I spun around and saw the revolver on the floor. Just as I picked up the firearm, like, up to examine it, the door flew open and I heard a man scream. It was only then that the body of Inspector Gregson appeared before me. Whoa. What? That testimony was the whole truth. It was. So you heard a shot being fired in a room with no living occupants. And moments later, a corpse somehow appeared before your eyes. Is that it? If you're right, you haven't explained away anything. In fact, that would barely qualify as an excuse. I thought you were my mute apprentice. Yet it turns out you have a way with words, Prosecutor Asuki. It would appear to be a singular tale indeed. Singular isn't the word. It's laughable. What's got into Kazuma? He's not behaving like himself at all. Very well then. Counsel, you may begin your cross-examination. Yes, my lord. Alright then. You were investigating him? What on earth for? I'm not at liberty to say. Seriously? Sorry. I'd identified a distinct possibility that Gregson was involved in the case I was investigating. Regrettably, though, he was killed before I could secure the proof I needed. Is the court to understand, then, that on the day in question, you followed the victim to the scene? No, I was privy to his movements in advance. How? I stole into his office in the yard and consulted his diary. Oh my gosh, this is not helping him! You are not helping yourself, man! The address on Fresno Street was noted in the 5 p.m. entry. You illegally entered the man's office. In Japan, that alone would constitute a very serious offense. As it does in Great Britain, I assure you. Is that not the case, Lord Van Sykes? I was aware of the possible consequences. So, in summary, you were investigating the victim. And yet, you refuse to tell the court why. Yeah, that is not helping you, man! I didn't realize British prosecutors enjoyed such freedom to choose what to divulge under oath. Why did I ever think I could defend this man? This is not going well. Had you ever been to the address before? No, never. I only learned of the place as a result of my investigations into Gregson's activities. There's no light inside when I entered, so it was all but impossible to make out anything. But at 5 p.m., the sun would only have gone on down. It would still have been reasonably light outside. The room had a window, but it was boarded shut. Very little light found its way in from outside, so it was very murky inside. I wouldn't have noticed if the victim was already lying on the floor. There's no artificial light in the room, you say? You're quite sure? I'm quite sure that the part of the room where the body was found was very dark. I have a feeling there was a small oil lamp burning on the desk, though I couldn't say for certain. Look, Mr. Naruto. There is a small desk in the room just here. Yes, I remember. And there was an oil lamp on it, as well as the framed photograph of someone who should be unrelated, but... When I entered the room, I closed the door behind me and started towards the desk to investigate it. And what did you find? Nothing. I never actually reached the desk. Okay, so we can't contradict it on that. A moment later, I heard the gunshot. I spun around and saw the revolver on the floor. Hold it! So, who fired the gun? I have no idea. I didn't see anybody else in the room. But you say it was very dark in there. Yes, that's right. All I can tell you is I didn't sense another's presence. Aha! Then could it be that the gunshot was actually originated from somewhere outside the room? No, that's not out of the question. You're not helping! Oh. Without doubt, the sound emanated from inside the room. I could smell the gunpowder. This is going from bad to worse! You're really not helping your case, man! And you say the point at which you noticed the revolver on the floor. Correct, and I foolishly picked it up. That was carelessness on my part. Presumably, then, the gunshot you heard came from the firearm that you somewhat hastily took in your hands. In point of fact, my lord, I believe it did not. What? The barrel of the revolver I picked up was cold, and there was no smell of spent powder. But then, where on earth is the gun that was fired? Whilst I would like to oblige you with an answer, I'm afraid I can't. I too would dearly like to know that. Just as I picked up the firearm to examine it, the door flew open and I heard a man scream. This does not look good for this man. A man, you say? One of the witnesses, I presume? That's right. That's right. One of the street merchants working on Fresno Street. Who are these merchants? A number of them had set up their stalls directly beneath the boarded window of the crime scene. A match seller, a newsmonger, and a peddler. They've all given statements saying they heard the gunshot. And without thought of danger, they ran inside to see what had happened. Yes, Gina told us about that yesterday, didn't she? They burst through the door with some force, it would seem. They did, and almost gave me a heart attack in the process. But you're supposed to be the Reaper! The man first to come in immediately noticed the revolver in my hands and fled. A policeman patrolling on Fresno Street heard the commotion, and was able to arrest the accused shortly after the incident occurred. Okay, I thought I dropped something. Anyway, the man's scream drew my attention in that direction.
Hold it!
What do you mean by that? In what way did the body appear? I honestly can't explain it, but it's the truth. As far as I was concerned, the body hadn't been there until that point, and then suddenly, there it was. Did you perhaps hear the sound of the victim falling to the ground just beforehand? At that moment, what I heard was the sound of the door flying open and the scream of the man who came inside first. Nothing more. I see. After the man fled, I examined the body. I was stunned to find that it was Gregson. Most curious circumstances indeed. How the inspector was killed or how his body seemed to appear out of nowhere, I have no idea.
Objection!
Surely the court has heard enough. My lord, the cross-examination has clearly revealed that the accused, Barak von Zykes, is lying on multiple fronts. What? What is that supposed to mean? Gracious counsel, the defendant is lying, you say? In his testimony just now, he claims he failed to notice the victim's body because the room was dark. That's correct. No, that's impossible. As proven by this candelabrum. How does that prove anything? If you examine the tip of the long candle, you can see it has been blown up by a powerful impact. One would assume that the projectile from the firearm passed through the victim and struck the candle. The problem comes when you consider the other two candles, which are clearly of different length. Yeah, there is that. I was wondering about that. Yes, I can see that only the candle that appears to have been struck by the bullet is long. What we could reasonably expect someone to have lit all three candles together, which begs the question of why only one has ended up longer than the others. One was not lit? That must be because that particular candle was extinguished when the others were still burning? That's right. When the candle was hit by the bullet, it obviously went out, but the other two candles would still have been burning. So the fact is, the victim's body would have been illuminated by the light still thrown by the candelabrum. If the accused's claim that he couldn't see the body clearly contradicts those facts. And now, to the next lie. There's more?! The accused also claims to never have visited the scene of the crime before. That's the truth. In an almost empty room, the police discovered something very unusual. A board covered from top to bottom in police documents and newspaper cuttings. Yes, that's right. We saw it too. It goes without saying that the contents of the police documents cannot be divulged. However, they include a number of reports from various historical cases, the oldest of which was from 10 years ago. 10 years ago, the professor is starting to sound familiar. And there's a common thread linking all the documents on that board. Indeed, what is the common thread, Council? They all relate to cases prosecuted in court by Barrack von Zykes. All of them? And furthermore, all of those cases are ones in which the defendant was acquitted. Good lord! Interestingly, none of those defendants are alive today, because all of them have been sent to their graves by the Reaper. Ah. Oh no. In short, that dingy little room is the Reaper's secret hideout, and his base of operations. The Reaper's hideout? And yet the Reaper would claim never to have been in his own secret hideout. No one would believe that. No, the truth is, we've been looking at this backwards. Backwards? Swing Council. Inspector Gregson was investigating the identity of the Reaper. When he discovered the location of the man's secret hideout, he was killed. As I'm sure everyone can imagine, by the Reaper's hand. What? Order! 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 Very well. I hereby state the current opinion of the court. Barrack von Zykes is an outstanding prosecutor who has rendered great service to his country. However, it is with deep regret that I must concur with the prosecutor Azuki's contention that the defendant's testimony exhibits a number of stark inconsistencies with the known facts. All I have done is state the truth as I know it. Kazuma's done a brilliant job as ever. He's drawing on his experience as a defense attorney to build his prosecution case. And it's formidable. Counsel, you will submit the board that you showed the court as evidence. I believe it is be fundamental in establishing the facts surrounding the Reaper's existence. Thank you, my lord. Okay, we should have a look at that. And now the prosecution would like to call new witnesses to the stand. Let's have a look at that, actually. There are details of a whole raft of cases dating back years on here, aren't there? This paper from 10 years ago is browning with age, look. Out of interest, the most recent thing appears to be this newspaper cutting here. Oh, it's the same Red-Headed League advertisement that Mr. Sholmes had picked out. And do you remember, there was a red hair piece at the scene too. Was Inspector Gregson an exponent of the Red-Headed League then? Wait a minute, what's that? Is that a handprint? Why is it upside down? Like, that... Okay, I think that has to be a right hand. That has to be a right hand, but... Or could it be a... I think it's a right hand, but why is it upside down? Mr. Naruto, look! Oh yes, it's a smudge of some kind. In fact, it looks just like a handprint. And the color, that's blood, isn't it? Oh dear, how disturbing. Okay, well we got that. Witnesses saw events unfold on the day in question. They were mentioned in the previous testimony too, if you remember. Yes, the street sellers who heard the gunshot and went running into the room. Very well. Lead the witnesses in. The defendant may step down from the witness stand. Certainly, my lord. What in the world? So witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court. Names? We don't use names. Far too fancy for the likes of us. We're just free and easy. Sell what we like. We live where we want to live. Give them a big vacant stare as they look down for us. Spin a few words into a verse for them. That's Beppo, isn't it? Would I be right in assuming that all three of you make your living by selling wares on the street? Everyone called me Gossip. I sell jaunty little tidbits to passers-by, you know. Jaunty little tidbits? I'll go an absolute smash for you, sir. Right up your ginnel it is. 6 pence for the price, and not a penny less. Wait, you're actually trying to sell it to me now? Oh, come on, sir. Don't tell me you're not interested. Try the man. Give him the money and see what it is. Pay the man, counsel. Alright! 6 pence it is! You won't regret, sir. Now got your listening ears on. Just between us, a young couple on Slight Street had just had twins. Seriously? That's it? Is that it? No, that's not it. It's gossip, isn't it? It wants to spread, but it's up to you and your mouth, of course. I got more, you know. Want another juicy one? 6 pence a piece it is. It is if you're curious. I am curious, yes, about what's going on just under that fat bottom lip of yours! Namely that unusual bruise or whatever that's poking out from under your collar. What about the next witness, then? What name do you go by and what do you sell? Me, I'm Venus, and that's what everyone calls me. Funny, innit? Funny, innit? I'll sell these lovely little fireworks to all the local school kids. Are those firecrackers? 6 pence a pop. What do you say? Yeah, those are firecrackers. You weren't exaggerating with the little. Do they actually sell? Oh yes, the second years just can't get enough of Venus firecrackers. Especially when I tell them that if they get 100, they could blow up the school. Ah! That is, no, that is very, not the most savory of ideas, young lady. Oh, what do you say then, eh? Want a pot with 6 pence for a pot? Wait, what? You want me to buy one? Tell you what, I'll let you in on a little secret. If you get 100 of them, you can blow up the whole courtroom. Try the woman. Give her the money and see if she's right. Pay the woman, counsel. Hey, alright, I'll buy one! Lovely stuff, right? Right then, this is something a bit extra just for you. A Venus special, only 600 pence. 600? It's 100 of my regular fireworks. Nothing little about that, is there? And there better be nothing little about the punishment that I blew up the old Billy either. At least we got one for evidence. And the last witness, what name do you go by and what do you sell? I'm a thinker, me. Thinks of all sorts of thoughts before. Therefore, I think. Because I stand on the street watching the world go on about me. They call me the observator. Get out of it, old man. Everyone calls you Sandwich and you know it. So you don't actually sell anything. Problem shared is a problem halved, as they say. I'll give advice I do and think what it means. I don't actually sell anything. No, come to think of it. Pity. No more purchases today, please! Well, we have quite a cast here, it seems. They conduct business on Fresno Street from morning until night, my lord, and always in the same place, directly adjacent to the crime scene. How convenient. I see, and thus they heard the gunshot, I suppose. Not only that, but they very bravely ran inside to see what was going on and witness the crime. Well, I'll be begging, I thought. Just between us. Venus de Milo, what am I to do? What a terrible thing I saw. What I think is, what is light and shadow playing with our eyes? Is any of it real? Are these people okay? Very well. The court will hear the formal testimony of these 3 witnesses now. You will describe in detail what your witness had heard at the time of the incident. Okay. Well then, guess let's figure this out. We saw the whole thing from start to finish, we did. Everything from the moment they went into the building. It was less than a minute after the Reaper had gone inside. That's when we heard a big bang. Seems they're quick to talk, quick to walk. Gossip. Couldn't wait to go see what happened. I ran into the room, and there he was, the Reaper, gun in hand, standing over the dead body. I was so scared. He had to death me, so I ran off to find a copper. Huh. If these witnesses were there the whole day and saw everything, who do they see going inside the building? Only the victim, Inspector Gregson, and the accused, Barrick von Zykes. I've seen pictures of that Reaper in the paper. I know what he looks like. And just between us, folk love stories like this. I made myself a tidy sum already. But wait, the room was just one of several flats in the building. Someone from another flat could have done it. All those flats on Fresno Street are unoccupied. Of course they are. They're small, damp, dirty, and expensive to boot. The room in which the inspector was found is the only property in the building that's currently leased. And we know the leaseholder's name, don't we? It's Hugh Boone. The testimony the court has just heard would appear to leave little room for doubt. It's becoming increasingly difficult to see how any other than the defendant could have committed the crime. No! Thank you for your candor, my lord. Counsel for the defense, you may proceed to cross-examine the witnesses. Yes, my lord. In a closed court like this without a jury, the judge is the only person whose opinion matters. I have to break down this testimony. Somehow. Oh boy. We saw the whole thing from start to finish, we did. Everything from the moment they went in the building. Hold it! When you say they, who do you mean exactly? Inspector Gregson and the defendant, Lord Van Zykes? I suppose so. The likes of us don't know the names of the high and mighty. But I'll tell you one thing. It was the old Reaper that went in last, that's for sure and certain. Just behind Inspector Gregson, did they arrive at the same time as each other? No, not at all. The first fellow must have gone inside a good 15 minutes before we heard the gunshot. The victim arrived 15 minutes before? Are you sure about that? Am I sure? Am I sure? Doesn't seem like it I'd forgotten a fella with bright red hair like that, does it? Yeah, his hair were red, wasn't it? Redder than my hat, flaming fireworks even. The fiery red bob still burns on the inside of my eyelids, it is. Wait a minute. You're saying the man was a redhead? Weren't you listening, chub? Aye, he was a redhead, and he had a big trunk with him as well. But the Inspector Gregson's hair isn't red. Not by any stretch of the imagination. Seems like the person you saw wasn't in fact Inspector Gregson at all, but some other third party. No, I hate to break it to you, but the witnesses are correct. What? Just have a look at this photograph of the victim taken at the scene. Oh, poor guy. Yeah, yes, that's Inspector Gregson, alright. Oh. And a red hair piece. Why? Of course. We saw one on the floor when we investigated the scene, didn't we? I still refuse to believe Inspector Gregson wore a hairpiece, though. So then why on earth would he have been wearing something like that? The color does seem to suit the man, one might say. The photograph will be submitted as evidence. Please consult. Okay. And what became of the trunk that the red-headed victim was supposedly carrying? I was informed that no trunk was found at the scene. So it just disappeared? What? Do you expect us to have been watching the building every second, do ya? We definitely saw it in the dark going in, though. No question about that. It was less than a minute after the Reaper had gone inside that we heard a big bang. Hold it! By which presumably you mean the gunshot? I sell these little things, don't I? How would I know what a gunshot sounds like? But I've always thought it was probably sounds a bit like this, doesn't it? And you say that you heard the noise almost as soon as you saw the defendant here enter the building? That's right. It was almost straight away. Bang it went. Just like that. Well, he's a Reaper, isn't he? What the French call a fait accompli. When the Reaper's around, people go on the ground. I mean, That's what he does, isn't it? In it? I think we get the message. The Reaper couldn't allow the Inspector to live after he discovered his secret hideout. There could be no clear motive for the crime. Yes. It's certainly an eminently credible motive. Great! At that point, you ran inside, is that correct? What happened to Beppo, man? So, when Gossip ran to see what had happened, did you go too? Well, I'm a bit hampered, see. All the signs are that I can't move very well. You were away behind, presumably, with that sandwich board around your neck and that big sign in your hand. What a great burn you bear! Pardon me for asking, Mr. Sandwich, but... Is it possible you I've met before? I'm not anybody. Me, the sign, what makes me who I am now. I signed, therefore I am. So, you weren't employed as an omnibus driver just under a year ago, then? I might be mistaken, but I believe his trembling has intensified, Mr. Naruto. Yes, I agree. He's clearly been through a lot. What had happened to the man? Pinned down King Henry straight in the black window of his arm, just there. Oh dear, you've made him hide behind a sign. Life is full of surprises. Man, what happened, man? Did he get fired? Did he become homeless? I ran into the room, and there he was, the Reaper gun in hand, standing over the dead body. So, then, you were the first person to arrive at the scene, is that right? That I was. Kicked the door open like a professional I did, and yelled out, "What's going off here?" Lord Van Zykes claims he heard a man scream, though. And was it dark inside the room? No, not dark at all. There were candles burning on the wall. Really? How many of them? And there was a fellow collapsed on the floor. Just between us, the first thing I noticed when I got inside. I see. Even though Lord Van Zykes claims not to have seen any such lights on the wall. The next thing I noticed was someone standing right beside the body. The accused, Barrack Van Zykes. That's right, the pale-faced Reaper himself. I was a little shocked, I won't deny it, but I'm not a lily-livered coward. I stood my ground and gave the Reaper a cold hard stare myself. Excuse me. Do you have something to add, Mr. Sandwich? There's really nothing to me. Empty in the head I am, just two slices of no middle. So I don't know what you could want with me. I think that maybe you just remembered something. Having heard Mr. Gossip's last statement, I mean. What I think we're nothing really. You know, trying to dress ourselves up as something else, but at the end of the day, we're just all street stars. That's enough out of you, Sandwich. Keep your trap shut now. Unless you want us to make you into a real sandwich. When he saw the Reaper, he fell clean over on his backside. That's it? Oh, you rotten beggar! I told you to keep that a secret! He screamed, he did. Screamed and scrambled off on all fours. That's all I wanted to say. Mr. Gossip, is this true? The floor was dead slippery, that's why. Playing on my hand in a filthy pool of blood, didn't I? Yuck. What? A pool of blood? But listen here, even though I was sprawled on the floor, I still kept giving that Reaper a cold hard stare, and don't you forget it. Let's go back a little. Did you say you got blood on your hand? I did. Happens to the best of us at times, doesn't it? Yeah. So I was scared, so I slipped over. And we can keep it just between us, yeah, me? No, Mr. Gossip. I'm going to have to ask you to add that information to your formal testimony. Oh, if I must. The witness will amend his testimony to include the aforementioned details at once. Okay. I think we're getting something here. I slipped over and got blood on my hand, so I quickly wiped it off on the floor. But you wiped your hand on the floor? Well, who wants blood on his hand, eh? Horrible stuff, and they might have thought I done it. Nutter. And you didn't think that might be a problem? Does it really matter if I left a few grubby handprints on the floor? They'll get cleaned up in the end, won't they? Don't make such a fuss. That's the message from all of us. Is something wrong, Counsel? No, my lord. I didn't remember anything in the report about a bloody handprint on the floor, that's all. Don't come at me with that. You can't intimidate me. I know what I did. I wiped it off. On the floor. The blood. I wonder, could that be what happened? Mr. Naruto, I don't have all the answers yet, but I think they may have just uncovered a vital clue. But that... I was scared after death me, so I ran off to find a copper. Hold it! So you didn't run into the room with your friends? I'm not that sort of girl. Sorry? I'm a timid little thing. Me, I was just scared to go in there. Alright, I see. Oh, old Lippy and the witch ran in there and I heard a old lady scream. Well, that wasn't me, I swear. If I were a gentleman, I'd stake my honor on it. I wondered what on earth was going on. Which is when you went to find a policeman. And I ran into a copper as soon as I turned the corner. So I brought him straight to the back. Didn't I do well, eh? Just between us, that copper's eyes nearly popped out of his head when he saw the Reaper. I have never felt more comfortable in all my life. And the defendant was arrested on the spot, I believe. Considering the catalog of killings the Reaper had carried out, it was a particularly inauspicious end. If I can't find any holes in the testimony, I'm afraid the judge will give a ruling of guilty, Mr. Naruto. The truth is, though, their combined testimony is fairly damning. Unfortunately, there don't seem to be any obvious problems with their statements, do there? Still, if Lord Van Dyke really is innocent, then I'm almost certain that we'll find something in there that doesn't quite add up. You don't think that one of these three could be the true culprit, do you? I don't know, but what I do know is that there's more to this case that has yet to be brought to light. Actually, we should take a look at this. Looks kind of festive. I have got an idea, Mr. Naruto. You're staring at the end of the string of fireworks. Sorry, it's just that it's the Venus special. I was wondering what 600 pence worth of fireworks would sound like. Shall we find out? What? But she could do it. She said it could blow out the courtroom. Alright, that was a fairly sizable bang. My ears are still ringing, Mr. Naruto. It sounded almost exactly like... Oh! It actually sounds like a gunshot. Okay. Okay, well, the handprint is right here. Objection! So you wiped off the blood from your hand on the floor of the room. Are you quite sure about that? Well, what else you would expect me to have done, eh? Does it really matter? Objection! The police found no such handprint on the floor during their investigations. What exactly is the defense asserting? Objection! If you listen, you'll find out, Prosecutor Asagi. Certainly, there was no bloody handprint found on the floor. What are you trying to say? There was a handprint in blood left very clearly at the scene. On the back of this notice board. Yes, indeed. Indisputably a handprint in the distinctive color of blood. You're right, dead right. That's my right hand. I know it anywhere. But that's not on the floor. That's in the air. The witness very definitely testified that he wiped his hand on the floor. Any handprints on the back of the board are irrelevant. Objection. Not if the board itself had fallen over onto the floor. In that case, it's quite possible that for the witness's handprint to have ended up there. Just look at the floor plan of the room. Oh, mice, please. Thanks for the host, Wolf Boy. Uh, the notice board was in the opposite corner of the room to the victim in an upright position, even if it somehow had been toppled over and was lying on the floor at the time. I don't know. It's a very bloody room. Like, probably a lot more than someone getting shot happened in that room. Would have been a considerable distance from the body. I fell over when I came across the body, so I was basically right next to the corpse, not on the other side of the room. In other words, the defense's assertion is contradictory. Yes, it is. There's a very definitive contradiction here, for which there must be a reason. I take it you'll formulate a proper hypothesis, Counsel. Regarding this apparent discrepancy between the witness's account and the handprint found at the scene. I have, my lord. This discrepancy between the witness's account and the location of the handprint is explained by... well, the board moving. It was on the real contradiction here is that the handprint itself, not where it was found. As the court can see, it's upside down. Oh gracious, so it is. If the witness had put his hand up against the board, the fingers should be pointing upwards. Unless he for some reason turned his hand around, but if he tried doing that, it really hurts your wrist. Like, try it yourself. It is difficult to do that. To get that angle. What does that tell us? It tells one simple fact. When this handprint was made, the board must have been lying on the floor as I previously suggested. Which means that after the incident, it must have been moved. What?
Objection!
You're claiming that somebody moved the notice board after the shooting? Then tell the court who. I don't know that yet, but the point is, when you consider all the testimony we've heard so far, we can now be clear on one point. And that would be the position of the notice board at the time of the incident, my lord. So, Counsel, I must ask you to clarify your assertion for the court. At the time of the incident, where do you maintain the notice board was situated? Okay, so probably around here?
Take that!
This is the only possible location. Immediately adjacent to the doorway. If the court would think back to the testimony given by the defendant earlier, he said that when he entered the room, it was dark, and he couldn't see the body. Like, the heck! So if the notice board had been there, the body would have been completely hidden from view. And the candles wouldn't have been visible. And the light from the candles would have been blocked, making the room appear darker.
Objection!
But the accused also claims that the victim's body simply appeared before him. That's true. Or, in his precise words, just as I picked up the firearm up to examine it, the door flew open and I heard a man scream. It was only then that the body of Inspector Gregson appeared before me. So, okay, the door opened. Okay, he walked in, he found the gun, he picked it up. The witnesses ran in, ran into the board and fell down onto it. Then the room was illuminated. I don't know about calling it a scream, but he was talking about me and no mistake, because it was me that kicked the door open. If you look again from the floor plan, consider what would happen if the door of the room was thrown open with force. Oh yeah, the door would knock the board over. That can't be. The door struck the notice board, knocking it over, and making the victim's body visible. Good gracious! My client has told nothing but the truth. He has simply described what he saw. Ugh. Oh boy! Order, order, counsel! How has this not come to light before now? After the incident, somebody must have righted the board and moved it into the position where the police, myself, and my colleagues saw it when investigating the room. That would make sense. Witness, what did you say for yourself?
What? Me, my lord.
You and your fellows were there at the scene before anybody else. It goes without saying, you must know something about the position of the notice board. The witnesses in the court stand will testify again. You will each explain exactly what you did upon arriving at the scene of the crime.
Stop looking at your glasses at me. I get the message.
Alright then. Here we go again.
I don't know anything about that notice board. I just wiped my hand on it, that's all.
Oh, well don't look at me. I haven't a clue about it. I was doing business with some second years at the time.
I don't know anything about it, anything. I'm just a bystander. Me just a sign of the crossroads of life. It was the Reaper, I bet. He's got a face that screams bored.
I can't see how this changes anything anyway. The detective still died when we heard the gunshot. So none of you can elaborate further. I think I have an idea. Shaken by the crime they witnessed and with only the light of a few candles and an oil lamp by which to see, we can't expect these witnesses to be able to give a more precise amount of what happened. That's right, yeah. It don't pay to expect too much. It's man's endless quest for knowledge that's destroying the world. That's what I think. Do you, really? In any case, as this testimony shows, even if the notice board was moved by somebody following the incident, it makes no difference. When the gunshot rang out, the accused was the only person at the scene. In short, the only person who could possibly have committed this crime is Barrick von Zykes. None of this wrangling over the board changes that simple fact. Quite so, quite so. Does the defense still wish to cross-examine the witnesses despite the circumstances? Most certainly, my lord. Very well. Then you may proceed, counsel. Okay. Alright then, well. I don't know anything about that there notice board. I just wiped my hand on it, that's all.
Hold it!
Kind of reminds me of 7 from 999. So you admit that it was on the board when you wiped that it was a board when the body's hand on. Whoops, didn't mean to press that.
Admit it? What's that? What to admit? It's just plain as day for all to see. A smashing print is on my right hand.
Then perhaps you wanted to hide that handprint. So you righted the notice board and pushed it into the corner. Did you?
No, imagine the weight of that red lump. Do I look like a powerful and well-nurtured man?
Sure. Well, did you see anybody else moving the board?
I've got nerves of steel, I can tell you, but even I have my limits. There was a body on the floor in front of me, and the Grim Reaper himself standing over it. And there was precious little light inside either. My bottom lip was a quiver.
A quiver of what? In other words, the witness is unable to give definite testimony on that point. Yes. So it would seem. Well, don't look at me. I haven't got a clue about it. I was doing business with some second years at the time.
Hold it!
When you say you were doing business with them, you mean you were selling them fireworks? Yeah, what else? There's a priory school just around the corner, you see. Primary school? Those cheeky little so-and-sos have got a plan to blow their school to kingdom come. You're not helping them. So I've been telling on them, letting their teachers know what they're up to. Oh, you have? Yeah, I wouldn't want anyone to get hurt, so I let the school know the kids are playing with dodgy toys. Then, praise the Lord, the teachers take all the fireworks off them. And then, praise the Lord again, the kids all come back to me to buy more. Everybody's happy, see?
What a racket!
Of course, and sometimes the teachers give me a little bonus to thank me for letting them know. It's a busy old life, selling explosives. Venus is a guileful goddess indeed. Well, telling barefaced lies is kind of my thing, really. I'm ever so good at it.
Excuse me!
Is something wrong, Mr. Sandwich? If I said it was... Could we just leave it at that? Would this be the end of it? No. Did Miss Venus's statement just now bring something to mind, perhaps?
philosophical thoughts. Deep philosophical thoughts. Huh? Let's say there was a great liar, and the great liar said, without batting an eye, telling barefaced lies is kind of my thing. I'm never so good at it. Would those words of hers be a lie too, or the truth? In which case, she's not a liar. Oh, it's a hellish paradox, that one, don't you think? I'm not entirely sure, to be honest, but it seems to be you're suggesting Miss Venus has been lying. Are you? What are you on about, old man? Trying to cause trouble? Are you? Keeping on like that? Keep on like that? And I'll wrap your whole body in firecrackers and set 'em off, and I'll give you something to tremble about. You have a startling, disturbing mind behind that sweet and innocent face, young lady. I like her. So, Miss Venus has lied in her testimony. Is that what you're saying, Mr. Sandwich? Well, if it means I'll be burning in hellfire for the rest of my days, so be it. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Can you elaborate, please, sir? Oh, Blabbermouth here headed for a room where the gunshot seemed to have come from, but there was someone else who crept up the stairs behind him, too. That's right. That rotten lie over there. Hey, didn't you? Do you mean to say that you did in fact betake yourself to the scene of the crime after all? What did I tell you, eh? Eh? I said I was good at telling barefaced lies, didn't I? Yes, you mentioned it. Well, that revelation rocked the whole courtroom, didn't it? Who knew firecrackers packed such a punch? So you did indeed visit the scene of the crime, did you, young lady? Good grief! Well, now you come meant to mention it, I suppose perhaps I do clearly remember climbing the stairs to the room, yeah? Either you clearly remember it or you don't! Well, I shall consider a fitting punishment for this perjurious act later. But for the time being, you will immediately amend your testimony to reflect the truth. Oh yes, my lord, of course. Uh-huh. Maybe I did sneak behind gossip and have a little peek in the room where it all happened.
Hold it!
You make a habit of lying, do you, Miss Venus? Well, I suppose so. I don't really know, to be fair. If you want my advice, though, I take everything I say with a big pinch of salt. Alright. But you did in fact go to the room where the victim was killed on the day in question, did you? Oh, please, as if I would. I can't think of anything more terrifying. The truth, please. Alright, just a bit then. I mean, a girl my age is curious about stuff, you know. Did you touch anything at the scene? Oh, please, as if I would. I mean, there was a dead body on the floor. The truth, please. Oh, alright, just a bit then. I had to look to see if there was anything I could sell. So I did see. So I did give the place a once-over, but it was nothing to write at home about. Right. Now, I hesitate to ask, but you didn't move the notice board by any chance, did you? Oh, please, as if I would touch anything like that. Just a few bits of loose change is all I add. The truth, please! Alright then, I thought there might be something worth having underneath it. So I blasted the flipping thing. Sorry, flip the blasted thing. You're telling us that you did move the board? I think I did. That did flip out, didn't it? What? You deaf barn pot! I don't believe it. The girl doesn't think. So, did you find anything then? Something that you might have taken, perhaps? To sell? Oh, please. I should be so lucky. In my imagination. The truth now! I might have found this old pocket watch under the notice board, I suppose. A bit oh, jug. Ah! So it was you, was it? You're the one who took it. Well, but a bit of junk like this can't be worth much if you ask. You took it. Gina? Young lady, may I remind you where you are? That watch there. That was the President Inspector Gregson from the yard for a big case he solved 10 years ago. The professor case, no doubt. The boss used to wind it up every evening without fail while he was waiting for his grub to come at the pub. I see. I swiped it off at once, and blimey, he was he upset. He gave me a right earful. Said he hadn't missed a day in 10 years polishing it and winding it. It meant the world to him, that watch did. Possibly not the best thing to go diving for then. It's not all that, though, yeah, I took it to Jeb's, like, to see how much it worth, but the OTL wouldn't touch it. Well, give me a penny for it, said it wasn't working. Knocked about and worthless, he called it. What time did it say on it? Ugh, I knew I should have lifted it. Come on. Evidence. Present it to the court. Yes, thank you. Oh, please. Just so long as you promise to give it back when we're done. No! Not a chance. I'll swipe it from you if you try to get your grubby mitts on it again. That's enough. Hand the watch to the bailiff forthwith. Now, children. Watch your manners. Good lord. The glass appears to be broken. More than likely, it shattered where the inspector was shot. It doesn't tick anymore either. Which is why Jabez didn't want it. What a waste, eh? Yes, indeed. It appears to have stopped at the hour of 5. 5? Exactly when the gunshot was heard then. Huh, which supports the prosecution's claim, of course. Hoo-wee. Well, it would appear that the mystery of the moving notice board has been solved at least. And as predicted, it had very little bearing on the case. The glass over the face really is badly cracked. Look. What a shame when the inspector quickly looked after it so carefully. I imagine Mr. Sholmes could repair it, don't you? Yes, I should think so. He's very adept at things like this. A useful man to have around, in fact. But kind of remember, he's a great detective, Mr. Donhutter, not an object man. Why not both? There's a tiny little stub sticking out from the small hole here, look. I suppose there must have been a little knob or something on that for setting the time. In that case, seeing as we know the inspector took such good care of his watch, it probably broke when the incident occurred, didn't it? Yes, of course. Which could mean that there's a small part of the watch still at the scene, maybe. What's that part? Look, there's a tiny little keyhole here. Can you see? Oh yes, that's probably for the winder used to wind up the mechanism. It looks like a little unusual, don't you think? Yes, you'd need just the right key to wind it, I imagine. A key. Why do I feel as though I've seen something? Something a bit like a key that's right about the size to fit this hole. It would be wonderful if we had the key. Let's check carefully over what we already found. Mrs. Sato, do you think perhaps this key could be the key for Inspector Gregson's watch? Oh, yes, it could be. Let's try it at once. There's not a moment to lose. Yes! I knew it. A perfect fit. And look, the Inspector's watch has started going again. So it has obviously not been wound up, that's all. What is it, Mr. Sato? Well, if the watch isn't actually broken after all, I'm feeling it could have profound implications. She's deep in thought now. Perhaps I better start thinking deeply too. Oh boy. So it wasn't broken at all, it was just not wound up. That could really mean, that could tell us a lot. Now then, continue with your cross-examination, please. Any help, Counsel? I don't know anything about anything. I'm just a bystander. Just a sign of the cross of life.
Hold it!
But you did go to see what happened in the room, didn't you? Fresno Street is my whole world is all I know, and I know all of it. I have to make it my business to know if I want to hold my sign high. So you did go to see what had happened. It's not the destination that's important, it's how you get there, isn't it? Did you notice the notice board in the room? If you think about it, we're both the same species, aren't we? Both different members of the sign family. So if I'd spotted it, I might have tried to tip it out of a sense of rivalry, I admit. Someone really needs to tell you that you're Homo sapiens, not Homo signians. Does that mean you didn't notice the board? I can only repeat what I said before. I don't know anything about anything. I'm just a bystander, just a son of the crossroads of life. In which case, just who was responsible for moving the notice board? Yep, we know it was her. It was a Reaper, I bet. He got a face that screams bored. What exactly do you mean by that? Oh, come on now. Don't tell us you've noticed. He looks like he hates everything in the world, that fella. But not notice boards. They're the one thing he likes. You can see it in his eyes. I can't say I'd ever noticed. I'll tell you one thing for free, though. I never took my eyes off the man on the floor or of the Reaper. Not for a second. Sorry? Well, I was that scared I couldn't. You never know what a feeling like that might do if you look away, you idiot. If you didn't take your eyes off the defendant, you should be able to confirm categorically whether or not he was the one who moved the notice board. Aye, that I can. The Reaper did nothing of the sort. I can swear to that. I couldn't have missed it if he heaved the thing upright again and dragged it into the corner. Right. Glad we cleared that up. What happened to the face that screamed bored? I feel your pain, Kazuma. I can't see how this changes anything. The detectives will just still die when they heard the gunshot. It was 5 o'clock in the afternoon that you all heard the loud bang, wasn't it? Maybe the notice board fell over, or maybe it didn't. Maybe I fell over, or maybe I didn't. But the Reaper's fate is sealed either way. Maybe because of the gunshot we all heard. And the fate's sealed too. My fate? That's right. The defense is fated to lose. And the prosecution to win. In other words, it all hinges on that single gunshot. So if I could just find some problem with that part of the story, it may be possible to change our fates. Of course, none of that changes the fact that I heard what I heard, does it? Not much to go on. As you pointed out, Mr. Naruhodo, there's no question that the notice board was moved, or so somebody must have done it. But it did happen after the event, so maybe Kazuma's right, and it's not relevant to the case. But it seems to have been deliberately positioned so as to hide the body from view. So I feel sure that there's some deeper significance to all of this. Yes, I know what you mean. I've no doubt there are more clues to be uncovered. You're on the right track, I can feel it. So you follow your instincts. Alright then. Alright, well, I think I know what we're... Okay, I think I know what we're supposed to do. Okay, let's try this.
Objection.
Yes! I'm afraid that's not necessarily the case. Oh. At the scene, we found this key of the winder of this inspector's pocket watch. A key? And having wound the pocket watch, we discovered that it in fact still works. You see, the watch didn't stop because of it was broken at all. And that fact completely undermines one of the most fundamental premises on which this entire case has been built. What? Order, order, order! But counsel, the watch was stopped at almost exactly 5 o'clock! Yeah, which is just when we heard the gunshot. It is exactly the hour. It's... The time that was showing on the watch tells us nothing other than when it was wound down. It's merely coincidence that it happened to be at 5 o'clock.
Objection.
Even if that's true, the 3 witnesses here all heard the gunshots at 5 o'clock. So that's obviously when the crime was committed.
Objection.
No, that doesn't hold. Why not? Recall what Inspector Lestrade said. Only moments ago, the boss used to wind it up every evening without fail. When he was waiting for his grub to come at the pub. Said he ain't missed a day in the last 10 years, polishing and winding it. It meant the world to him, that watch did. Huh. The victim was in the habit of winding his watch once a day, in the evening. We can reasonably assume, therefore, that he wound the timepiece on the evening before he died as well. Yes, that would be entirely reasonable. But if that's the case... like, you wouldn't expect the watch to have completely wound down by 5 o'clock the following day. Well, how do you explain that? Excuse me, give me a second. Give me a second, I'll be right back. Package just arrived at my doorstep just a few hours ago. So, my apologies. And I'm pretty sure I did lock my door. So yeah. Hello! In summary, the evening before the day of the incident when the gunshot rang out in that room, the inspector was unable to wind his watch. You can't mean... What would stop a man winding his watch if he's been in the habit of winding it every single evening for 10 years? The obvious answer is that he was already dead. So... oh boy. Order, order! That is an extraordinary claim!
Objection!
Extraordinary isn't the word, it's absurd! You claim he was already dead the night before? Do you really think Scotland Yard's coroner would have overlooked something like that? On that subject, there is something rather surprising. There's actually an omission in the coroner's report. The time of death is not noted. That's right! Wait a minute, you're forgetting that my legs went from under me when I kicked that door. What do you mean? Like I said, I planted my head in a dirty great puddle of blood. Yes. So the victim's blood hasn't dried. It was fresh. He catches on fast, doesn't he?
Objection!
But if that blood could be explained in any number of ways, it could have been put there afterwards. Some fresh blood could have been poured over the victim's body after he...
Objection!
Does my learned friend think that fresh blood is available on every street corner? You'd be surprised. You'd be very surprised. Well, it needn't necessarily have been human blood, of course. Cow blood is easily... But are we really going with that direction? Are we really going with that line of reasoning? Are we really going to go with that? Yeah, we've been told previously that Scotland Yard has no way to identify blood as human. That problem is currently being researched. At present, you are correct, it is beyond our abilities. So then, a chicken's blood could have been used, for example. What? It's certainly a possibility that it wasn't Inspector's blood at all. Are we really going with this line of reasoning?
Objection!
But the gunshot we heard at 5 o'clock that afternoon, that's beyond the question! Is it, though? What? Given that the time of death of the victim has already been called into question, it isn't beyond the realms of possibility that what these witnesses heard wasn't a gunshot at all. Oh, please, what are you trying to say? Us lot know what we heard, and it was a loud bang that came from that there room. Now you listen to me, a straight set of ears are his livelihood.
I don't doubt your ears, sir. But all you could state with certainty is that you heard a noise.
Eh? Explain yourself, Counsel.
A noise that sounds like a gunshot. Could it have made with this?
Take that!
Something like this. The culprit could have set off one of these to fake a gunshot. Good gracious, the very fireworks that were sold by the witness! Now hold on a minute, you think I did it? My pretty little firecrackers only make a little pop anyway. See? Not 100 of them together. The Venus Special that you sell for 600 pennies sounds like this. As the court can now attest, it sounds very much like a gunshot, in fact. You're trying to suggest somebody set one of those fireworks off at the scene? I'm suggesting that somebody knew the defendant was in the room at 5 that day, and sought to implicate him by creating a sound like a gunshot, for these peddlers on Fresno Street to hear.
Objection!
But even the accused himself has testified that he saw no one else in the room at the time. Whether it was a gun or a firecracker, the only person present to cause that bang was Barrick von Zykes. One whiff of a match and my firecracker go pop. See? It's why people like him. I fear for your fingers, young lady.
Objection!
Recently, during my time here in Britain, I've learnt of a very useful invention indeed. Something called, a time bomb. Good heavens, a bomb?! Yes, a device that allows you to blow up whatever you like, whenever you like. Mr. Nahodo, I worry that your unfortunate phrasing there may lead to yet another international incident. Yeah, be careful about that. No, wait! It's the whenever you like part that's important. A timed device. Yes, exactly! A timed device. Something of that nature could have been planted at the scene. A device that was able to produce the sound of a gunshot long after the culprit had left. Your extravagant claim will be substantiated with evidence, Counsel. What proof do you have to suggest in any way that a kind device was employed to create a gunshot sound? Oh boy, how are we supposed... Huh. Okay, it's not on the photograph. So this is the type of revolver that's standard issue for members of the judiciary then. Yes, and when I asked about whether records are kept about who they're issued to, I was told that for the past 5 years, they've been engraved with a unique serial number. Oh, but as far as I can tell, there's nothing like that on this gun, which tells us that it must have been issued longer ago than that. Longer than 5 years ago. Okay, let's see. Presumably owned by Gregson, but why would he... I mean... man... The only thing that really could suggest it, I feel, about whether whether something is a time bomb is the clock.
Take that!
You're suggesting this could have been used as some sort of time delay device? I did think so, my lord, but it's becoming increasingly clear that we've all been very misguided here.
Objection!
Yes, by you. What? Oh, no, Counsel. The time has gone for a penalty without delay. Ah, frick. No time to clear the area before the blast! Okay, what proof do you suggest in any way that time device was employed? I mean, what kind of thing... Ah. Maria Gori? Really? Exited bullet from... Okay, Huh?
Take that!
No, no,
Objection.
no. Like, what item? Like, the gun?
Take that! Objection.
I... Seriously, what item could have honestly been used? Wait.
Take that!
It was the candelabra! It was the freaking candelabrum! It was the candelabrum all this time!
Take that!
As the court has already discussed, the tip of one of the candles in this candelabrum has been blown off. Indeed, because it was struck by the bullet, which presumably passed through the victim. I don't think that's possible, my lord. Not possible? Why? Because of the scorching. There are gunpowder scorch marks clearly visible on the broken candle. There are? Goodness, yes. But is it not the case? That there are also scorching marks on the victim around the bullet entry wound? That's right, there was. But as we heard earlier, scorching like that only occurs when the target is at a very close range, a matter of centimeters from the gun. You mean someone fired the gun straight at it? Which means that the scorching of the candle can't possibly be the result of a gunshot. You're suggesting it came from the fireworks? What can that be? The fact that there's such a visible scorching on the candle suggests the fireworks must have been right next to it when they exploded. Or to put it another way, the candle and firecrackers were joined together. Oh! The culprit somehow attached the firecrackers at a point partway down the candle. That... Oh, wow! That's a genius! After the killer had left the scene, the candle slowly burnt down along with the other two, until eventually it ignited the fuse on the firecrackers, generating a loud... Wow! Oh! And that is how these witnesses came to believe they heard a gunshot at 5 o'clock. Well, what a plot! And this implies the victim could have died earlier than we've led to believe. The previous day, even. Now, just hold your horses! All of us saw the victim going into the building, remember? I couldn't forget the flame-colored hair, even if I wanted to. The person you saw entering the building wasn't the victim at all. Consider this. Obviously, anybody can wear a wig. So the person that these witnesses saw entering the building 15 minutes before the incident occurred could easily have been someone else entirely wearing the red hairpiece. Someone else? Do you mean to say... It was the same person who contrived the firecracker trick. In other words, Inspector Gregson's killer. Oh, very impressive, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Kazuma? I'm really quite amazed you come this far. But after all, wasn't I the one who told you that you had all the makings of a great defense lawyer? Yeah, you did. I also noted the lack of time of death in the report, a stark omission. But as far as I'm concerned, this whole country's justice system leaves a lot to be desired. Holy cow! He is calling it out! Order, order, order! Prosecutor Asugi, what on earth do you mean by that statement? I hear that many of the leading members of Britain's judiciary are present to observe this trial today, so we cannot allow even the slightest doubt to be overlooked.
The defense's assertion about the time of death based on the victim's stopwatch is just conjecture. But while the possibility exists and my learned friend may be correct, we have a duty to explore it. Well, certainly. I would agree with you. And what immediately comes to mind is, of course, what was Inspector Gregson doing and where did he go on the day before the incident? Do you know? The inspector always carried out his investigative work alone. His movements were treated as confidential within Scotland Yard. Even within the Yard. However, considering the evidence we've been presented so far, I'd say it's apparent that what case the man was pursuing, wouldn't you, my learned friend? I do have a feeling about what case he might have been investigating. Yes, I agree. Surely. My lord, the defense believes it could be explained that the court that the case that was being investigated by Inspector Gregson at the time of his death. The Reaper, the Professor. Present your argument to the court. Wait. Actually, I have two ideas. Like,
Take that!
yes, I believe this red hairpiece points to the answer. We might assume it was part of a disguise used to carry out an undercover investigation. Surely not. Such a brightly colored hairpiece would only serve to make the inspector more noticeable. Yes, that's quite true. It would definitely have made him stand out in a crowd. Except, that is, in a crowd of gentlemen from the Red-Headed League. The Red-Headed League? So, you'd already worked it out. What is all this about? Is there such an extraordinary league of gentlemen? Wait, the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, oh my gosh. The Red-Headed League is currently under investigation for grand deception. A deception of what nature, Council? They've been targeting red-headed men across all of London and tricking them out of small sums of money. So occult? 2 men were arrested for the misdemeanor only yesterday, in fact. My lord, the defense calls for those 2 men to be summoned at once. Those 2 redheads. Inspector Gregson clearly infiltrated the Red-Headed League using this hairpiece, so it's very likely that he had direct contact with these criminals. And it's quite possible that such contact led to more serious events. Whew, I concur that we cannot in good conscience leave this new avenue unexplored. Well done, Mr. Naruhodo. Well, it's another possible line of inquiry for us at least. The prosecution will make immediate arrangements for the charged men to appear. Bring these 2 red-headed League conspirators before me, Prosecutor Asagi. At once, my lord. Very good. We will have a 30-minute recess. Court is adjourned. Alright. To be continued. We are... So, an hour and a half done, and we've managed to... we managed to get... Yeah, we managed to get... And we managed to get that figured out. So, I'm gonna be... Anyway, I'll be right back. And when we come back, I think I'll be playing some Genshin Impact actually. So, see you later. Be right back.